Okay, here we go. I'll turn the receiver off right now. Now the Dampp-Chaser, and this is what it looks like. Just an aluminum tube. It has a heater built in, and it attaches to your receiver, and it has 120 volts running AC running through it to heat the element that's in here. And this thing normally sits this way under the front end of the receiver. It's on a clip underneath. Now if you have a real early SX101, it may not have this. But this particular receiver here is an SX101 Mark 1A, and it has that. And all the receivers up from that had these Dampp-Chasers. This thing runs about 8 watts of power, and what happens is the tube gets heated up, and then it radiates within the radio, underneath the radio, and heats all the coils, and tries to keep them at a certain temperature. I measured this thing, and it was showing about 105 volts, but I hadn't had the unit completely put together for install yet, so it may end up a little hotter temperature, hopefully. Okay, well, the big problem is you got this thing, you find out that it's no good, it doesn't work. You got the radio playing, and you got it tilted up, and you got your hand on it, and it's cold. It's not working, the element's bad. Well, I didn't know exactly what was in this thing. I had no idea. Was it resistors or wires, or I had no idea. So I got to look at it, and on the ends here, this is like a plastic or fiber or something, but it had some screws. I took those out, one in each end, and I could not get this apart. It wouldn't come apart. So that was another problem. So what's in this thing? I don't know. So the first thing I did was I drilled a small hole here with a Dremel tool. In other words, a small electric drill and a small bit. I just drilled a little hole, and then after I got the little hole drilled, I could put something down in there and try to feel something, and eventually I tapped into something down about an inch or so down inside here. So I knew there was something in here I had to be careful of and not break it or whatever it was. And I still couldn't get this off. So I was in a little dilemma there. So I had to come back here, and on the bottom side here, you'll see a ridge running down here. Okay? And so I took a screwdriver and I started prying here, because I could not get this out. And I pried it and I got it bent back a little bit, and finally I pulled it out. Okay? And so when I pulled it out, and now here's the thing you gotta remember. Just don't pull this out, because what happens is there happens to be inside this tube a powdery shavings. Now I don't know what it is. Could be, it looks like little shavings of brass or something. But I do know it doesn't corrode, because this stuff is 60 years old. So, so it's 60 years old. But anyway, this will all come out on the floor. You gotta be careful. So you wanna, when you pull this out, you can do one or two things before you pull this out. Which I did was, when I had this hole in there and I was shaking this thing, I'd hear some noise in there. So I poured it out on a piece of paper, and all this shavings came out onto the paper. Then I tapped it like that till nothing more came out. So then I went with the screwdriver, like I told you, and I opened this up, pried it like that, and finally it just popped out. And here's what it is. It's a tube. Now, AC comes in here, and there's a little coil of wire. Small coil of wire goes up, came out, and came around, and came back down the tube. Okay? And on the end here, there was nothing but Scotch 3M black tape taped over that. This is the repair here, so we'll get to that. But anyway, and what happened was that this little coil was burned out, it opened up at the tip. And of course, the coils then slid down inside the tube. Well, I was spent some time trying to figure out I says, oh, you can't. I know you can't solder that wire. It's not solderable. It's something like that they use in toasters and stuff like that. So I was sitting a long time. So I was thinking, come up with some other idea how to repair this thing. And you may have to do this idea that I'm going to talk about, because if you can't fix this wire, you're going to have to go to another plan. I was able to fix the wire, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But the first plan was to replace that, and I'm trying all kinds of things, and I was going with different types of resistors here. Okay. This is one. You want a 2,000 ohm resistor, or resistance equaling 2,000 ohms. With that, and with a resistance of 2,000 ohms, the resistor should get plenty hot, and you won't be blowing fuses. But you'll have to have a 1/4 amp fuse in series with this heater tube. Okay. So then I had this resistor here, and I put AC across it, and it only went up to 105 volts, 105 degrees, I'm sorry, Fahrenheit. Then I tried this 10 watt 2K, and it's a solid porcelain, long one. It went up to 135. Oh, that's pretty good. That's more heat. I'd like that. And then the best one was this rectangle one here. But these, I don't know where you're going to buy them. I got this out of a piece of equipment, and here's another one here. Closer up. Okay, this is a 5 watt here. This is a, I don't know, 15 watt or something. This one here heated up to 150 Fahrenheit, and that was great. The only trouble was I had to put it in a grinder, and I grinded the edges, and it cracked it and all that. So you see some bare wires in there. And I was trying to get it to fit inside this tube, because I want to ram it up the tube as far as I can, so that it heats like the center of the tube, and then it works its way on either side. But that didn't work out too good, so I don't know. You may have to. You can't fix it. If you can't fix the wires in there, you may have to go to maybe use 4 small resistors, 2 watters or something like that. 2 watters at 500 ohms a piece. Put them in series. Okay, that'll give you the 2,000 ohms total in series, and being 2 watts a piece, and they'll dissipate that. It'd be no problem. And then that could be inserted in the tube, and that should give you the heat that you need. So we'll forget about that for now, and we'll go back to my repair here that I was able to do. All right, now I really don't know how long this tube will go before it goes bad again. Like I say, it's about 60 years old. But anyway, I found out that after I fixed it, that the tube don't even glow. There's no hot wire. I didn't try with all the lights out. I might have, if I had everything in the room dark, I might have seen a light glow. But it takes about 15 minutes, and then it gets hot, and it heats up to about 100 degrees temperature. It's just sitting here in the air, okay? But the whole length, see? So how I fixed this was, because it broke, it burned or whatever at the end here, where it makes the bend, there to come back down. I took some piece of wire, see, and I put a little bend on it, on the end here. And this tube is now, I don't know if it's plastic or it feels like plastic, but I don't know. And when you find out, is put a Dremel tool with a grinding wheel and start grinding on it, and you'll see if it's glass or plastic. But anyway, I went down the tube like this, and I caught the wire and I pulled it out. okay, and I pulled it out maybe an inch and then bent it over so that would spring back down into the tube. Then I went down the other side, inside here. And this little hook on the end has got to be very small because it's hard to get down the tube and you got to catch the real fine wire. I pulled that out and did the same thing. Now, there's no way of soldering this thing. So what I did was, I took the ends and I twist them as best I can. It's like working with your hair, little fine wire. And after I got it twisted together, then I had to have some way. I said, I got to hold that connection because I can't solder it, so it's going to have to be a mechanical connection to hold that wire together. And what I came up with is, well, in the telephone industry, you can buy these, and you can buy them in probably an auto store too. What it is, you have a couple wires that will let you skin it, and then you stick it in there, in here, and then you take a pair of pliers and you just crimp this down, and it puts a metal bar across the two connections. And they use that sometimes in cars, in electrical wiring in cars, and mostly in telephone things, but you might be able to get it at an auto store and get these things. But the one you really want is the smallest one for real small gauge wire, okay? It's real small. And what you have to do, you have to take the cutters and snip off the end here, because the little metal bar is down inside here. So you want to get that, those two wires you got crunched together, you want to get it shoved up in here and pack it in there somehow, the best you can, with a needle nose or something like that, little tiny screwdriver, and get it up in there and try to, hopefully you get it down to one of those metal contacts there, and then you crimp it. Okay, once you got that crimp, then you're ready to take an ohm meter reading, see if you got a continuity through from one end to the other. If you got continuity, then what you want to do is take some epoxy, the type you use on model airplanes. And that's this stuff right here. This is 15-minute epoxy, okay? 30 minutes, doesn't matter. But what you don't want to do is use epoxy that has metal in it, like a blackjack or something like this. There's different type of epoxies, and some have metal in it, and you don't want electric to conduct on the epoxy itself. You want the epoxy to be actually insulated. So you got this tube now with the two wires twisted around as best you can and shoved up into this little connector, and then you got it crimped, and you checked it, it's good. Now you want to mix some epoxy and just coat this. And it took about 2 or 3 coats. It looks like junk because the stuff is gooey and all that, and you leave it there and it wants to settle and change form and all, but it doesn't matter what. All you have to do is make sure the tube is sealed, okay? And all this here is sealed in epoxy that does not conduct. Now, the epoxy will not melt on you, will not catch fire, okay? It takes high temperature before the stuff actually starts melting and burning, and there's just not enough heat. So you're safe to go. And then you can, for the heck of it, you can put a little wrap of 3M black electrical tape around here too, which I'm going to do probably. And then you take this thing and bare wires. What I got here is my couple of alligator clips across an AC outlet wire. And I just stick this across the 2 open ends here, separate this, so make sure they don't come together because it's not fused. Your house fuse is going to have to do the work. Stick it across there and plug it in, and after about 15 minutes, she'll feel that, and it should be around 100 degrees or more. And then that shows it's working, it's good. So now we come to another thing. Well, let me get back over here. Let's say this thing, you can't fix this little coil inside here. By the way, they still make these things, but I didn't see them making this particular size. But the company still makes it. If you go on Google and you put Dampp-Chaser, okay, and you'll eventually find a company out west, only company that makes it yet. They use these in pianos. They make them 3-4 feet long, and they put them in closets. And because they run 24 hours a day. Just keep the dampness out and mildew in your closet. So we got dampness in the closet, or in a wooden piano, you want the wood to remain the same moisture content. So they put these inside the piano, keep the wood, and then keep the strings from rusting. You know, there's strings on a piano if the keys are actually hitting a string. A little hammer hits it, and that's how it works. But anyway, that's what this is for. So this thing only burns 8 watts at 117 volts. All the Dampp-Chaser, and they're still, let's see, I don't know what, out west somewhere, I can't, the thing's marred up, but anyway, I found it on the internet. But anyway, so if you're going to try, you can't fix this spring in here, I would try 4 resistors at 500 ohms apiece at 2 watts, and put them in series. Now, you might